Hey everybody, Seth David here from the world famous Nerd Enterprises Incorporated, bringing to you another special screencast. This time we're talking about how AI saves me 10 hours a week, no hype, just strategy. And in order to illustrate this, I want to focus on a very specific use case, something that I actually need to do today in order to, that will help me cut down the time it will take to produce a video that I plan to produce. So before I get into that, let's talk higher level AI, ChatGPT, or whichever LLM, large language model, you prefer. Many of us have sort of caught on to the fact that it's very helpful and useful to think of that LLM or AI agent as an assistant of sorts. And so imagine that you have this assistant who shows up exactly at the moment you need whenever you need help and is just there and ready to perform any task, right? And then if you install the mobile app, you'll start to experience what I know a lot of others I've talked to have experienced, which is that it's almost like you're texting with like your best friend now, who's always positive, always has solutions, and frankly is often a lot nicer to talk to than a lot of people. So bottom line, we start to think of our AI agent as somebody that we talk to the same way we would talk to an actual assistant that we've hired. And I'll take the time to note, because this has been going around the web lately, about how OpenAI says, well, if you use words like please and thank you, and of course you want to be polite, but they're kind of saying you shouldn't because it uses up a lot of energy and it costs them a lot of money. And my response to that is, that's their problem, right? That's their stuff. They need to fix that, because it's very helpful and there's a lot of benefits to learning how to use the AI assistants in this exact way, right? And before the energy thing and the associated costs came up, they would have been the first ones to tell us to do this. So that's something they need to fix. The crypto industry fixed a very similar kind of energy use problem, where it used to take tremendous server farms to support that technology, and now they've figured that out, so it no longer does. Same thing here. Anyway, I digress. So here's the scenario. I have to write this article, not write this article, but I want to produce this video that illustrates the e-commerce accounting workflow in like the simplest way possible. So I really just want a few transactions that will illustrate the process of generating a sale from a single sales channel and having 2 or 3 payment gateways, right? So I can show the flow of the transaction from the sale through the sales clearing, and then from there out into the different payment gateway clearings, how we process the fees for each of those payment gateways, and then ultimately the net amount swept into the bank account. So in order to do that, I need some sample data. And sure, I could just on the fly come up with stuff while I'm doing the video, but A, it wouldn't be that well organized, and B, especially for the nature of this content, it has to all make sense. So normally I would sit down and just come up with sample data, but it might just take me, it could take me maybe even an hour of just kind of thinking through and making sure I've got all the sample data organized in a way that's going to make sense when I actually get into QuickBooks Online and start recording transactions to show you how this works. So I would rather have ChatGPT do this for me, because ChatGPT can take what would take me, let's say, an hour to do and get it done literally in seconds, right? So that's how you'll see scale-wise how collectively across a week and all the other things I can, get help with, how it saves me 10 plus hours a week is probably conservative, in fact. Okay, so what I like to do is kind of prepare sometimes for something like this. I want to plan it before I actually drop the prompt into ChatGPT. By the way, along the lines of what I was saying, I've named mine. Her name is Sandy. She's my assistant. She's there with me, and Sandy is configured as a GPT, which, simply put, if you're not familiar with this, it means that on the back end, I've added all kinds of context so that she knows all about my business, who I am, the kinds of things I work on, projects that I'm working on, and periodically what I'll actually do in some of these different chats I have with her is ask her to write an updated sort of configuration for her own GPT. And so it sounds all circular, but it's actually very, very effective. So before I give her the prompt, I want to plan it out by writing out up here, right? Now, as I said, she understands like the things I do, so that saves me a lot of extra details in terms of context, or I should say not having to provide as much context as you might if you're using a GPT assistant that, let's say, you're just starting with and knows nothing about you. So that kind of context is very important here because it drives literally how much detail you need to put into your prompts, right? So here goes. So I am producing a video on e-commerce workflow. The idea is to keep it super simple so the illustration of the accounting is really clear without overwhelming people. Okay, that's part one. And one of the reasons I like doing it here first, especially for something where I know I have to really kind of think it through, is in ChatGPT, if I'm not careful and I hit the enter key without holding down shift, it sends the prompt too soon, and then she's going to start responding, and it's like, no, wait, stop, right? So anyway, Google Docs is a great tool to use in connection with GPT for exactly this kind of thing. And for the uninitiated, all you have to do is open up a new browser tab and type docs.new, and poof, you're in a brand new Google Doc. Like, it couldn't be easier. All right, so we've got that initial premise laid out. Now, what do I need from her? I need sample data based on the following assumptions. Customers are sales channels. Let's assume this is for Shopify. We do not track customer level data in QBO. There's absolutely no reason to. Okay, so that's the first assumption. Okay, next. I need 3 sales, each with a different payment gateway. Right? And you can lay it all out, organize it all you want, right? So let's just say Stripe, PayPal, and something else. You pick, right? And you can do that with her. Again, the whole idea is if I get stuck for even a second like I did there on what else I should do, let her figure it out. That's the whole point, right? Then for each sale, I'll need the payment with the fees so I can get into QBO and demonstrate how this all flows by manually recording each transaction and demonstrating how things flow on the income statement and balance sheet. Okay, anything else I feel like I need to tell her? And again, and it helps to name your assistant because it helps to think of, in my case, her as a human. It's the same way I would explain to a human assistant like what I need, what I need them to come up with for me to help me do. Okay, so for each sale, I've got the payment with the fees, right? So I can show each step of the process. So please give me the sample data with the following in a table format. Okay, and then we just want to do kind of like a comma-separated list of what we want the columns to be in the table that she's going to give me, so I can quickly copy and paste that. And this is another thing. This came up recently that I realized that wasn't clear to somebody who was asking me about like how to interact with ChatGPT. You would never want to leave information in ChatGPT as something you're going to reference later. As these chats go on, it's very difficult to find things. You can use your browser search, but it's not ideal, right? So anytime I'm working with ChatGPT to get data like what I'm about to get, there's no intention ever of leaving it there. I'm going to take what she gives me and I'm going to copy and paste it so I can, reference it more easily and a lot faster when I need it. Okay, so please give me the sample data with the following in a table format: date. What else do we need? Need name, product. Right. So let her make up a product. And watch, I'm going to add something else into this just for fun. So date, name, product, amount. Let's start with that and see. Sometimes if I'm just going quickly, I can do that and then see the results and then realize, okay, I need one more thing, and I'll just iteratively work with her and say, actually, I need something else. So let's start off with just that. Nice and simple. And then here's the thing. So I like to make these things fun. Right, and so I like to have like themes to my data. So use my usual, because again she knows how I do things and how I like to do things. Comic book references for names and products. All right, let's see what she comes up with. The only snag I might run into is that this is a new chat, so she may not 100% know what I'm used to doing, but some of the recent updates say that she can actually reference information from other chats. So here I am. I took the time, I planned it, I wrote it out. Now let's go in here and I can just copy and paste and enter and see what we get. All right, nice table. Okay, name of the sales channel. Right, and so she's a little unclear. It's really all just Shopify, but this is still helpful, right? Because I need one sale for Stripe, PayPal, and then she chose one. She said, let's do Amazon Pay. Great, because Amazon Pay can be used with Shopify. Actually creates a mess, but it'll be a good way to illustrate something that's a little more complex, right? And then here's the payment information on each transaction. So the Stripe one's $150. Always just make sure it lines up. AI can hallucinate. Right, so just make sure if this is what it says the sale is up here, and see bat signal desk lamp. I just love this stuff, right? I love how, like, again, I could think it through, but it would have taken me a lot longer to come up with this, and yet then it's going to make the video that I'm going to do very nice and engaging. So anyway, here we are. That keeps it simple. That does seem to me like it gives me everything I need. And now I can copy and paste this into a Notion page, which I will use for reference when I do my next video, which is on this very accounting for e-commerce workflow. That's it, my friends. Wherever you're watching this, if you're seeing it in Circle, if you're not in Circle, join Circle. I'll make sure the link is in the video's description if you're watching this on YouTube or elsewhere. Otherwise, get into Circle. You can comment on it there, or if you're on YouTube and you want to post a comment below, that works just as well. As always, I hope you learned something here, had some fun along the way. I hope you're having an absolutely fantastic day, and I look forward to seeing you in my Circle community called Talk Nerdy to Me.